being a part of Bacchanalia is a ball. We have so many nice people, so many experienced people. Kelly and Andrew do a fantastic job, and they enable people like me to do basically whatever I want. I get to come here, I could sit down and chill one day, not so close to carnival like today, but I'll come chill, or I can come help them in the costumes. Just such a nice feeling to be part of such a family, such a community. And then when we get on the road, it's just madness. Everything's upside down, and it just makes it all worthwhile.
Hi people, it's Tigeress at Bacchanalia Mass Band. I'm here with one of, I can't find the words, but one of the best designers out there, one of the most sought after people out there, Kelly and Rajpaulsingh. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, we're excited. We're 1 week away, so lots to do, lots going on, but it's good, it's all good.
I'm going to ask you before we kind of get into the swing of things.
Yeah.
It's obviously, like you said, it's 1 week away. How much sleep have you had? How much rest?
If I answer that, well, we get home about 3 a.m. and then I go to work. And we come back about 7 and we stay until 3. Yeah.
So, you do, obviously you've got your daytime, your full-time job, and you do this in the evenings. Wow, that's very impressive and admirable. So, Nottingham Carnival is in a week's time. What have you got to offer? What should people be looking out for on the road this year?
Well, what we're trying to do, and I think it's a motto that we've sort of stood by quite some time now, since we launched in 2005, we try to bring people together, which is exactly what's happened here. And the more time we spend doing this, it works. Like, I've seen it work. So we know that we have a formula that's, you know, it's out there. People are getting to know who we are. They like that they can come in and be a part of something like this, meeting new people and all of that. But the second most important thing is bringing costumes to Notting Hill. We're one of those bands that will not do t-shirts on the Monday. I believe that if you're trying to grow Carnival and teach people what it is, and you know what we're trying to do, where it comes from and all of that, there's no t-shirts there. So we've had so many phone calls asking, can you please do t-shirts, can we please come and join? And you know, it's like, no, you know, not no, you can't join. No, come and support the culture, come and, you know, wear a costume. I think I'm going to deviate a little bit. I think people are so scared that they think, oh my gosh, it's all about skimpiness, and it's not. You know, you have options to change what you're wearing, you have options to cover up as much as you want, but it's something that is not just ours. I never saw Carnival as just a Trinidadian thing. I saw it as, you know, we're living in London. London's a multicultural city. It involves all of us. You know, Carnival started in Europe. You know this. You wrote this just the other day. Started in Europe. We took it, made something else out of it, and everybody's added something to it, whether they know it or not. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do. Get everyone involved, because on the road, guaranteed, you'll find people coming up. Oh my God, how can I join? You know, how can I do this? So we know that the demand is there. It's just getting the information out has been a bit of a challenge, because we're only limited to certain resources without completely, you know, financially it's a lot to take on, but to try to get that message out, like anybody can join. That's what we're spending we spent a lot of time this year trying to, you know, put that message out there.
I can vouch for that. I mean, you guys have been excellent on the communication front, so I'll give you a thumbs up for that. So just to kind of delve into your history, obviously you're the main designer of the band, and the band leader, is that correct?
Yeah.
You've been involved in Carnival for more than, probably more than 18 years.
No, not me. Andrew has. Andrew's been involved in sound for around 18, 19 years. He's been in Carnival a lot longer than me. I came to London in 95, went out, saw it, didn't like it, disappeared for a few years. You know, I went back again 2 or 3 times, and I thought, nah, this just can't be right.
So can I just stop there? Why didn't you like it?
It was such a poor, from where I come from, it was such a poor effort. You know, it's horrible to say. I will never berate a band for what they do now, because it's only when you become involved in what's going on here that you realize you can't compare Trinidad to the UK for a multitude of reasons. We fund this ourselves. Trinidad is a business. This is a full-time job outside of a full-time job. You know, we're limited in so many ways. You know, getting that information and that communication out there on its own, it's a tough thing to take on. And when you look at what people are doing, yes, costumes are cheaper in some bands, and the quality is not as as rich or what they would like it to be, but they're still trying. So I get annoyed when I see people sort of saying, oh, Notting Hill is this and Notting Hill is that. It's like that because we made it like that, but we have nothing to fall back on. We have no, it's not a business here. It's not taken, I don't want to say it's not taken seriously, it's not taken seriously enough. And when I started doing this, when I said to Andrew, look, I want to do this, and he was like, yeah, okay, go ahead. And then I don't think he expected it to sort of take on this scale, but then that's me. I would go all out, go the extra mile and all of that. But you do this because you love it and you want your culture out there, and what it is, it's just so much more than just carnival. It's a hard thing to relate. It's a hard thing to sort of tell someone sometimes. I mean, when people come in, it's like, why do you do this? And it's like, just why not? So many good things have happened out of it. We've seen people have these friendships outside of carnival. We've seen people connect. We've seen people bring new people in. We've seen people, it's surreal. And then to take this and put it out there and sort of say, I'm from Trinidad, I'm from some tiny little island, and we're trying to do this, and come and be a part of it. And that's why we do it.
So going back to your original, sorry, we kind of digressed.
Yes, we did deviate.
So obviously you said Andrew's been in it longer, he was in sound systems, and then you mentioned that you suddenly said you wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to start a mass band?
Well, I've always been interested in fashion. I think if I didn't do this, I would be some way tied into some sort of fashion in some way, shape or form. When we started doing it, I just saw this as an opportunity. It doesn't have to be as amazing as Trinidad. It just gives you that outlet to say, let's try something different. So what we're trying to do, even though our mass resembles Trinidad mass, we are trying to slowly introduce new elements into it. But by doing that, or to get to that point, you have to get people to understand what it is you're trying to do. So right now we're sort of doing a supply-demand type formula where the girls and the guys that play with us, it's a lot of young professional couples. It's like that. So they would say, I want this and I want that, But I do get to, like with my individual pieces, I get to sort of drive the car at that point. So my creativity will come out in that. Whereas I'm sort of ruled by what clients want for the section pieces. So
with fashion, is that something that you studied? Is that something that you...
I did a course at Central St. Martin's whilst I was working, not too long after I came up here, so I spent 6 months there.
Okay.
And my head's like, I'm into magazines, and I mean, my house is just filled with two things, feathers and magazines. Yeah.
Well, that's the ultimate fashionista. Kind of two elements. So the band was initially formed, was it 2005, if I'm correct?
It was 2005. We were a fun mass band at the time, so we never tried to do more than we actually could have overpromised. So we did it very small. At that time, we just told our friends and family, look, we're doing this, come out, and it did. And the beauty of that was the vibe was amazing. I mean, the first year we came out, there was 60 of us. Second year, that doubled. Third year, we joined with another group, and now we're doing our own thing again. Yet last year we came out officially as ourselves again. This year it's grown again, so it's just building, but it's a positive building. It's not like it's really good. It's a good vibe.
So what drove
I'm very articulate tonight.
So what drove you to jump from fun to full costume?
That was the original plan. We wanted to start small and build up into something else. And what we would like to think is the direction we're going in, what's actually happened. We're also doing a shop, because when we spoke with bands in London, and even for us, it's very hard to source materials. It's very hard to actually get materials here, or even in Trinidad, that you want to use. You kind of get limited to what's available. So we spoke to a lot of bands. Andrew and I sort of took the hits, and we went to China, we bought a lot of stuff, and we came back. But what we found when we came back was bands would come to us and ask us how to do things. a lot of the times, whilst I learn from as many people as I can, you know, sometimes you just think, I want this to look like this, how do I make it look like this? And you try different things to get there. What we found is fans would come to us and ask us, like, how do you do this and how do you do that? Which is great, because it shows that they're also willing to make better products. And we've got this really good connection now with so many bands that we've sort of, you know, they'll come and say, like, how can we get more people to sort of like, you know, pay a better price, or how can we match something where we make something out of it rather than just putting money out of our own pockets. So it's been a good couple of years for us, hard work. But you know, I think we're getting there. There's moments when we both, you know, it's like, oh my god, what are we doing? But yeah, it's not as bad as the days that, like, wow, we have good days.
Sure, I mean, that's the essence of life anyway. So, I mean, one of the main things that we're interested in is the corporate identity you've kind of infused within the band.
Yeah.
So, we've seen you a lot at the, I think it's the UK, the Rum Festival.
Yes.
So, what's your affiliation with that, if you could just kind of briefly explain?
The second year Rumfest launched, I found out about it, and we contacted the person that was in charge of all of that. It was a very small affair in those days, and we worked with him for 2 or 3 years, sort of having a carnival presence there. So in the middle of all the rum, he wanted this party atmosphere, which we, I think, over-delivered on. And every year it's just grown. He's growing and we're growing alongside him. And in 2007, 5, 6, 7, yeah, we brought him on as a partner in Bacchanalia. So he brings out part of the rum experience on the road. So his is called the rum experience on, you know, for Carnival, the Carnival rum experience. And we support him for Rumfest. But he's also introduced us to a lot of other brands that sort of want, you know, they want to use the opportunity to say, well, you know, rum is not just about the Caribbean, or, you know, it's never really one identity. You know, everybody thinks the Caribbean is just rum and beach and carnival. It's not. It's a lot more than that. But what I didn't realize was how many people take rum so seriously. It's taken on a whole different life, and he has grown from strength to strength. So we're very, very lucky to have him on board. And this year we're going to have an even bigger presence at Rumfest. And yeah, we just found a cool partnership with him, and it just works.
Okay, so we recently obviously been kind of delving into the history of mass, old mass versus modern mass, and things have changed.
Yes,
a lot. What are your thoughts, having been involved in Carnival? Obviously, you're from Trinidad. You came over here. You've seen how Notting Hill Carnival is. You go back. I'm sure you participate in Trinidad back home.
Yeah.
How are your thoughts in regards to how mass has changed and evolved?
Ooh, that's good. Are you going to be here all night for this one? Mass, the stories. I feel the story is getting diluted. I feel that there's not enough of an identity anymore to sort of say this is what Carnival is. Whilst Carnival itself is growing and what it is getting out there, the story behind it is not following as quickly as Carnival itself. So when you see Carnival, the export, I believe that you see skinny girls or very scantily clad, you know. It gets compared to Brazil a lot, but the problem with that is it's still not a valid comparison, because it's only a samba queen that's at the front of a band that's dressed like that. When you look behind, there's some serious mass going on. I think there are people who's trying to retain that brand and the identity of what Carnival is. I think there's not enough of them. I think people need to be honest, I think that there's no real literature, there's no real information, there's no real way for anybody else to learn about it. We went to Trinidad and did some research to sort of see who were the mass men around, who was left. I've done interviews myself just to learn with people like Peter Samuel. I tried to get hold of Peter Minchell. You know, we have someone in our camp who's working with us he's built kings and queens, so I'm learning a lot from him. You know, it's also a chance for him to come see what we do here and how that could be improved and stuff like that. I think there's a couple of bands that's trying really hard, but in order to keep interest, they need to fuse it with something in the middle. So I don't know if I'm making sense. So basically, you don't really see the traditional stuff anymore. If you see traditional, it's traditional with a sexy twist of some sort. So is kind of getting a little bit. It's sad. It's quite sad until I think people take it seriously and say there's literature, there's books, there's all these images or whatever that's easily accessible for people to learn. It's going to, it's just going to disappear.
So I'm going to ask the question again.
Yes.
So where's the future as you see it? Obviously, like you said, it's going to disappear. Where do you see the future in probably, let's say, 5-10 years in regards to maths?
In the UK or in Trinidad?
Yeah.
In the UK, I believe it will get better. I want to believe it will get better. I believe that a lot of structure needs to be put in place. I think bands need to take a step back and think, where am I going with this? What am I trying to achieve here? Am I just creating mass for 10-15 people that are my friends and family? Am I trying to bring new people in? Am I trying to just keep it to the West Indian? Because there are bands that do that. They will literally keep it within their own circle. Am I trying to, you kind of, it's different for every band. There's bands that I think, they want to take it out there. But how you do that is a different story, and it's very difficult because you'll find if you look at the age groups of people who are running bands in the UK, it's a huge disparity in terms of young and older. So the older people, they're not as technology savvy. They're not able to access a public outside of their little universe of 10 to 15 people. If you look at bands who are having younger designers, the problem there is they don't know enough about it, or they will try to create something that's closer to Brazil or not necessarily Trinidad historical mass. So the future, it's a hard one. What I do see is a lot of people now here that are studying costume design and stuff like that, because we get contacted quite a lot by design students. So they're saying, can I come and spend a couple of weeks? Can I spend a couple of days? Can I see what you guys are doing? And then when you meet them, they have no idea what carnival is, where it's come from. All they know is they want to be a part of it, which is interesting in itself. But I would like to think that somebody out there is writing an amazing book or somebody out there is going to find a way to tell the story, because let's be honest here, there are a lot of people talking about this. This conversation is not a brand new one. There are people sort of having this conversation, and the fact that it's being had means that hopefully somebody somewhere will say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I know people who said they're going to do it. It's a work in progress, I guess, but we hope that we're going to be part of that. I mean, when we started doing this, we took on a little bit too much. We wanted to do a magazine. We wanted to sort of like put the information out there. But given that this is a full-time job, we have full-time jobs. To do something properly, it's just going to require that time, and we don't actually have that. But I am trying to find people to, who's on that page. The future, I hope, is bright.
You're right up there. I think you just have to dig deep.
Yeah.
So in terms of kind of the corporate world, which it's kind of, I wouldn't say similar, I can't find the right word at the moment, kind of to what you're doing with RUM, the UK RUM Festival. Yeah. How do you see the corporate world embracing mass spins? Because it seems like, for example, Olympics, which is just finished, yes. You guys were at Heathrow Airport, and that was literally beamed all over the world. Not all over the world, but kind of the web, the web world. How do you see the corporate world embracing mass spins, and what do you see where do you see the future there?
I think the corporate world is getting more interested in mass because of they've never seen anything like it. It's something that everybody's looking for the next best thing. If you have an event, you want something that's not been done before. We've actually been really busy this year doing a lot of corporate events outside of Carnival, which has been great because it gives you that chance to say, this is what we do, and it gives me a chance to experiment with different costumes and stuff like that. Corporates, it's still an educational process because you still have to figure out what are they doing. If it's a party, we did a couple of Christmas parties, summer parties, we didn't even have a summer. We did a couple of summer parties where they just wanted, they will say, bring an atmosphere, bring a vibe. And you think, that's not all we do. And it's only when they get to talk to you and you think, well, we have a talent bank of so many people that can do so many things. And then we've never been just about what we do. Because if we're selling Carnival, it's never about what Bacchanalia can do. It's what we can do as a community. And we've always gone out there and said, there's certain people that contacted us to do adverts and stuff, and they'll say, well, we're looking for this sort of look, and we'll tell them, well, this band will do it, go to this person, we spread it. And I think the important thing is to just get it out there, no matter how you can get it out there, because once you get it to people who are running the corporate world, it means that information is out there, which is precisely where it needs to be. Getting people like, this is going to be a long one, getting people back interested into carnival, given the historical stigma that's attached to it, which is not a positive one. It's work that everybody has to do. Getting brands to sort of come in and sponsor the whole event like they used to is something that we're trying to do, because it's important for us to raise the profile of the whole event. Everybody benefits when the profile is raised. So it's sort of like selling it from the scratch again, because people came in, they didn't like what happened or whatever, and for whatever reasons they left. So starting over, it's building that relationship with a company to say, look, our interest is aligned with yours. We need to meet somewhere in the middle and sort of show you what we can do whilst putting your brand out there to 1.2 million people directly. It's the cheapest form of advertising there is. Well, not the cheapest, but it's cheap. And we will only approach brands that we think, this works for you. We will never just willy-nilly, and we spend time building the relationship. I work in sales and marketing, so it's that time that you spend. So when they come in, when people say, oh my gosh, how did you get sponsors or whatever, it's like, that didn't happen overnight. That happened after years and years and years of pulling them in. But once they get in, it's something they love, because they don't have anything like this, they don't have anything. It's a rich culture, not just in carnival, but like selling the Caribbean and selling everything. You have jazz festival, you have all these different things going on, and they get hooked. I mean, it's easy to get hooked when you meet people like this.
So going back to the bands, Jab Jab, you're doing a bit of that on Sunday?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to cause some controversy.
Oh God.
But obviously, you have positioned yourself as participating in Jab Jab this year, which has kind of ruffled some feathers, because it's more prominent. Even though the history of it begins in Trinidad, it's more prominent in Grenada. What inspired you to actually do this year?
Well, the first year we came out, which was last year, we wanted to do something brand new, and we did graffiti, which was, when we were in school, like when you're leaving school, we did that whole write on your t-shirts thing, and we wanted to create, remember, we're being a new band now, a new brand or whatever, we wanted to create something where people are interacting with each other. Not everybody likes to get messy, not everybody likes whatever's out there, it's people, because we're bringing in people who are brand new to carnival, and a lot of our band, they've not been in carnival before, so it's something you have to gently pull them into. Jab Jab is a personal one for me. I love it. I've always loved it. I come from Trinidad. I love Jab Jab. Whether it comes from Grenada or what, we have our own version of it. Regardless of whether it's ruffled feathers, I think if you look at what we're trying to do, we're trying to find a happy balance in the middle, where I'm trying to reach back into the roots. But still have something that's a little bit more modern day. Jab Jab was something that we taught about, for quite some time. We played with two concepts, one brand new again and Jab Jab, but because I just love it, we went with that one, and I think we'll stick with this one for a little while. I like the idea of what it is. I like the idea that when I was little, in school, you had to make your little costume yourself, and we use cardboard. We use cardboard boxes to make little masks. So you cut two little holes, you had a little pan, you beat your little stick on your pan, and you sang your little song, and that's what we did. And to me, the way that I feel when I do that, it's something that I think, gosh, I want these other people to feel it too. So whilst we will have people beating their sticks on their pan, it's not something that I've seen Grenada do. I actually don't know if they do that. I've seen their costumes. I've seen the Jab Jab people from Europe as well. It's all different, but we're all still trying to do the same thing, which is put carnival out there. And I want to do the Trinidad version of Jab Jab.
And what's the Trinidad version?
Beating our little pans, singing our little songs, and just having fun.
So has there been a lot of interest?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm guessing it's going to be a paint messy affair then.
Well, it wouldn't be messy, because we have to be careful that we do not cause any sort of disruption on the route itself, in that you know, you have to respect the fact that people live there. You know, we've been through carnivals where there's been complaints, you know, and it is true. I mean, I wouldn't like to know that I'm living in Notting Hill as a British resident, not knowing anything about carnival other than its noise or whatever. I wake up the next day and there's paint and all sorts all over my cars. You know, it's something we have to be careful of. So we are trying to retain it in such a way that, yes, you can, you know, put paint on, but do it in a very responsible way. I don't know how true that's gonna happen on the road, but we'll try.
I've just actually seen the detail that goes in some of these costumes. How long does it take? Bearing in mind the amount of people that you have to cater for.
The prototypes take a long time because I play with ideas before we put something out. You know, sometimes you have to put something away, come back, look at it and think, oh, it's not going to work or whatever. Production, my team is cussing me because it's too much work. But what I was trying to do, especially with the males, you know, you look at all these blogs and all these different things and the males are always complaining, I don't get to wear a costume, I get like a shorts and I get some little something. So we have spent a lot of time this year trying to give them something that they like. So there's, you know, if guys want to cover up, they can cover up. If they want to, you know, be a bit more brave, they can do so. But yeah, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, it takes a lot of time.
So what was the inspiration behind the Sears Concept?
Fall from Grace?
Fallen from Grace, yeah.
Yeah. This is a story that about two young women. I'm joking. I think this is a big story. I think, you know, it was a big story that, you know, technically you can't tell in 4 sections. It was a story that I feel like I have to relate to something when I'm doing this. I can't just randomly, you know, just do something willy-nilly. I've always been sort of like researching the whole angel stuff. I read this book called Angelology that a couple of years ago it grabbed me and kind of played at the back of my mind for a while, and then I liked the idea that we could do all these amazing wings and we could do them in loads of different ways. So it was like a case of just going from the wings to finding the story that matched the wings, and yeah, that's how that developed. And then we broke it into 4 parts.
And so what are the 4 parts?
Well, the first section is Aaron, and that's the 200 angels that were cast out of heaven when Lucifer sort of, you know, revolted and sort of had his own thoughts on how things should be. The second section is Nephilim, which is, there's that story when the giants ruled the earth, so when angels came down and they mated with women, but at the same time they gave us weapons and they taught us how to use metals and make weapons and jewelry and all of that. So that you'll find that it's a lot of jewelry and metal on the piece. The third section is Angels of the Abyss, which is, you know, they're banished, so they're waiting in this valley for Judgment Day. But then I thought, you know, we're going down a really dark path here. So I wanted something, you know, of hope. So we did the last section being messengers to sort of say, look, you know, we do bad things, we do good things, you know, just to remember at the end of the day that, you know, there's always hope. To sum it up in a nutshell.
So what can we expect from the band this year on the road? I think I've asked this already, but kind of, I'm sure you've got some new members.
We've got lots of new members this year.
And who are obviously experiencing this for the first time.
Yeah.
Possibly wearing costume. Mm-hmm. What should they expect from the band itself, and what should spectators expect to see from the band itself?
They should expect something...
Good behavior. Good behavior.
Unlikely. This is you. They should expect... This is like the most amazing street party, right? It's hard because sometimes you try to tell them, they get excited in the build-up. They get excited when they start coming to camp and they see all this going on. And you know, last weekend we had 3 new people join and they started helping out. So when they start getting integrated into the process itself, they've done something to say, oh, I've done that, I did that, I helped do that. It really pulls them in. And I like the fact that they get excited. I think on the road we offer everything, so you don't even have to think about anything. You don't have to walk with anything other than, you know, a jacket for when it gets cold. I think they should expect to be completely in love with our culture. I think they should expect to know that they're now a part of it. I think, you know, well, that's kind of how I feel anyway. I think the closest on the road you see it, you know, they make new friends. You know, even when they come to camp to help out, they're like, oh my gosh, you know, it's all big hugs and kisses, and they've only met once. And like for other people, I would hope that, you know, they look at costumes and think, oh, I want to do that next year. I really want to do that next year. If they can do it, I can do it. Because sometimes you have to like lull them and sort of say, everybody's paranoid. Oh my gosh, everyone's going to see my body, or I can't wear that. And you think, well, you're actually, once you're in it, no one cares, you know. It's not even about getting drunk or anything. It's actually that expression of freedom, and it's like I could just be like, oh, it's amazing. Even if we're dead tired, which we usually are, somewhere you just find this
extra energy,
and it's just ridiculous because you wake up and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, at some point in the road, I always get emotional at some point on the road. It's like, oh my god, we did it.
I'll be looking out for you. So Kelly, it has been an immense pleasure.
Thank you.
But I just want some peace, obviously, because we're always learning from each other, and it's always good to get some advice and obviously some piece of information from people in the know, knowledgeable people, and obviously designers. I know one of the things that most people complain about is the lack of facilities and obviously education in terms of design. What advice would you give, because obviously there's people out there that are probably interested in either setting up their own mass band or improving. What advice would you give to those people?
I would...
And this is pertaining to designers and band owners as well who are looking to launch.
I would say take a step back, have a look around at what's physically there, have a look at who's on the platform, have a look at what they're doing, why they're doing it, who's their target market. Take that step back and think, what am I trying to accomplish here? What am I doing? Am I reaching out to people who are already in that circle? Am I trying to reach new people? How am I going to do that? I think once you establish yourself, what you're doing, the next step is fairly easy. If you find a band that's, you know, similar to what you want to do, approach them. You know, I don't see any reason why you can't. I mean, a new band can't come out on the road on its own. They have to be with somebody else for 2 years. That partnership is important because you will learn everything you need to know about Carnival from being with that band because they've already done it. Things change to an extent that, you know, rules change, regulations change, the standards change. You know, learn as much as you can. Study the history. Study, you know, your design. Is it a market that, you know, is it traditional? Is it somewhere in the middle? Is it forward looking? You know, it depends on what you want to add, I think, and what you want to take away from the experience. That's going to determine how you present something and how it's accepted.
And obviously education is the most important.
Education is on both sides,
yeah.
Because it can't just be about you. It has to be, what are you giving back? You know, it's always a two-way street. I think if you come out there and you say, look, I want to do this. How can I do this? There'll be people that's willing to help. There's loads of bands that's willing to help and sort of say, come to my camp, come and see what I'm doing. There's people that we brought up. These guys are so talented, and they're so happy to teach. We liaised with a couple of samba bands just after we broke away from this other band, and they are so open with, and it's amazing because they learn from you and you learn from them, and you'll find, I didn't think about doing that way, or they will say, that's easier that way, you know, and it's an amazing thing. You can't just learn from your own, you have to learn from everybody else around you. The samba bands do things in a very, very, very amazing and interesting way, and to sort of learn from them, they're open too. Their doors are open everywhere. Just have to turn the knob and walk through.
Well, we've got about a week left.
Yes.
Is there anything we should be looking forward to? I know you've got your, is it the anniversary, something on Sunday happening? Is it the soca aerobics?
Yes. Oh yes. Yes. We thought this was a good way to get people who are brand new to come out and, you know, meet the other band members, to have a little bit of fun, to do some exercise for the road, because people like to think, I've done this, you know, listen to some of the music, learn some of the moves, especially as they don't really know the music or the moves. So yeah, we decided to do this little soca size class, and I hear the weather's going to be amazing.
It is, yeah.
So
in the 20s, they say.
Yes, I have no guys doing it. I only have girls doing it. So the guys, I don't know what we're going to do with them. We might have to get Andrew to do a few lessons.
I'm alright. You can't learn.
And is there any other things that we should be looking out for in the build-up? Obviously, what's approximately
because
7 days.
because it's 7 days away, we can't really afford the time to do any big events. I know there's other bands that do it, so I don't feel the need to get into their arena and clutter it with another event, because everybody, I think there's certain groups that are known to throw certain events. We're happy to go out and support them. You know, we're happy to say to masqueraders, if you want to get in the mood, this is the place to go. This is these are amazing artists. Da da da. You know, so I think there's enough in the run up without us adding to it. We're happy to go and enjoy it sometimes, rather than just do the work all the time.
Well, Kelly, it has been an immense pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you on the roads on both Sunday and Monday, and to obviously a successful year and successful years to come. So thank you very much.
Wicked.
And wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right.
What can I say about Bacchanalia? Best premium band on the road, best band to play with, fun-loving band, brilliant people to play mass with, plenty woman, pretty woman, best ever.
I'm from Trinidad and Tobago and I love Porsche. But my experience at Bacchanalia is a very good experience. It's my first time in London and I have a very good first impression. It's great.